Penn State, man.
Well, it's just a public. I wouldn't call it a sucker bet. I would just say it's a public dog. Drew Aller's going to throw 2 picks today.
Well, the thing is that like generally in these games, Ohio State usually has a new wrinkle, in these type of games. They usually unleash like a new wrinkle, something different. With Henderson out, it's like that's
He's
why
still
the line
out?
dropped.
I thought he was playing.
Yeah, the line dropped because Henderson's out.
How long ago did it drop?
Don Best sent an alert on that.
He was it's at 4. He was warming up last week against Purdue. He went through warm-ups, was listed as a game-time decision, didn't play. So I assumed he was going to play. Damn, that sucks that he's not. So what's up, everyone? Good morning. Happy Saturday to all. Been a great week for me. These midweek college football games were crushing me. Rewind back 2-3 weeks, but this week felt like I couldn't miss. And then I had the Cowboys on Monday night and the Jags on Thursday night. So I'm riding high. I'm definitely due to get absolutely rocked. Maybe that day is today. So yeah, we're gonna go through a bunch of games. You guys already know what the game plan is. So let's get it started with Penn State, Ohio State, the first legitimate Big Ten matchup we've seen this year, basically. Rat Hawk, you have the floor. Where are you going with this? Are you on the public dog? You're on the public dog. I already know.
Of course I am. This is it to me. It's just I think this is just going to be a close game. I think that 4.5, 5 is just too many. I could see this being a 3 or 4 point game at most. I'm just still not in love with this Ohio State offense. Maybe I'm on an island with that. I'm not a Kyle McCord fan. Sometimes it's as simple as that. I mean, neither of these teams have really been tested. Ohio State, they had the game against Notre Dame, and Penn State had the game against Iowa. But outside of that, it's going to be the toughest test that both teams have faced all year. So I'd rather have the points in my back pocket here.
All right, Mitch. I know you had already mentioned you're with me on this one. You're on the Bucks.
Yeah, Ohio State for me, I think doesn't get much easier than this. Penn State, horrific against ranked teams traditionally. James Franklin loves to run it up against the bad teams like we saw last week against UMass and like we've seen all season. But I believe historically, and don't quote me on this because you guys probably have the correct number, he's like 2-87 against ranked teams. And on the road, probably even worse than that. And, just because you can punch in late touchdowns for covers against West Virginia and things like that doesn't mean you go into the horseshoe and beat the Buckeyes, who are sitting on a big one. And it's like, I don't know if Ohio State has a team that can go all the way this year. Obviously, without Henderson in the lineup, it's going to be tougher for them to get there. But I think the emphasis on Henderson being out is maybe a little too great because there's no scrubs on this Ohio State team. I like Ohio State, and I think they do it very, very easily, 13.5 to 19.5.
13.5 to 19.5? Yeah, I like Ohio State, too. I'm just getting the graphic ready for that. I don't know why it's not showing up. Jay, are you on Ohio State as well?
No, sir.
You're on Penn State.
I'm taking Penn State +5, but I think the best play on the board in this game is just swallow the points and take them boys straight up money line. I think they beat Ohio State. Ohio State's not this good. They're just not. They haven't been that impressive to me thus far this season. I don't think this team is as good as they have been in years past. And this Penn State team, man, I have seen them look really good this season. Like putting up and shutting out Iowa, I think is impressive. Maybe not as much to some as it is to me. I really like that Iowa team. And I don't know. It's a tough game. But I think in a game like this, you might as well attack the plus money. I could see an upset. It smells like upset to me. I'm taking Penn State straight up money line, me personally.
I'm on Ohio.
I'm with Kyle.
I'm on Ohio State too. I don't understand where all the confidence in Drew Aller came from. I don't know what he has done or showed you guys to make him earn your allegiance, but he hasn't played anybody, and he also hasn't been asked to do anything. He's averaging about 209 pass yards per game. He's basically just been a game manager, and he's been good at it. But we haven't seen him. He's going to be put in positions where he has to make throws he doesn't want to make. We haven't seen that yet, and that's a serious skill set. That's when quarterbacks get exposed. The Kyle McCord, yes, the criticism of him is fair, but we've seen him be tested? We've seen him tested. He's got better numbers than Drew Aller on the season against better competition, but has faced more criticism. I hate that Trevion Henderson isn't playing. I don't know why the Ohio State graphics aren't working, but me and Mitch are on Ohio State for those watching that can't see it. Our poll is leaning Ohio State. Looks like about 59% of our viewers are laying the 4, 29% taking the 4 with Penn State. So let's move on to the next one. Mississippi State at Arkansas. Mitch, you are up first.
I'm going to take the Hogs here. Getting back home, this is what they need. They need home cooking, and they absolutely need a win. Arkansas, really short fuse when it comes to coaches. So Pittman, probably a little bit of heat on the cushions this week. So I'm going to jump on the Hogs. They've played in a ridiculously tough schedule, and they've played pretty tough against much tougher than what they face here. I don't love this Mississippi State team because, well, it's okay to get away from the air raid offense. Eventually, you have to score some points, and I just have seen them not do too well against a lot less than what they face. And I hate Ohio State more than almost any other team out there, and I took them. That should tell everybody something. My wife's grandfather played quarterback for Ohio State, like on some of their very famous teams.
Back in the 1860s?
Something like that, whenever Jesse Owens was there, actually.
You're on the wrong side of this one, Mitch. Mississippi State's a live dog. I think the Bulldogs might win this game. Their betting values at an all-time low. Let me see if I can find Mississippi State here. For some reason, Prop Beaver put the graphics out of order, so I got to scroll through. But yeah, I'm on Mississippi State. Like I said, the values at an all-time low. This team could score points with Will Rogers, Woody Marks. I know that they're being a little weird with their injury reports, but they always do that. Woody Marks has been questionable for like 5 of the last 6 games. He always plays. I'm not worried about that. Look, is Arkansas going to score points on Mississippi State's defense? Probably. I mean, Mississippi State's defense hasn't shown us they're very good. But you know who else defense has shown us they're not very good is Arkansas. Also, they've lost, 4 straight now? Hogs have lost 4 straight against tough teams. They got a bye next week. They are desperate for that bye week. That team is beat up. They're exhausted. Do you really think they're going to get up for this game against the Bulldogs that are about to come in and beat them? I think this is a live dog.
Tough building, man. Tough building, and they haven't been home in
Tough
a long
building,
time.
Bad football team, Mitch.
I agree. But
Sam Pittman's done. Sam Pittman's done. Do you
world
agree with
beater.
that? Sam Pittman's done?
It depends. He's got to win this one, or else they're going to fire him on the field. That's what they do there.
All right, let's bring up Rat Hawk next. Rat Hawk?
Yeah, I'm going under here. I'm seeing Will Rogers listed as out for this game.
They wouldn't tell us.
I'm seeing as of 2 hours ago that.
2 hours ago, great.
Yeah. So Mike Wright stepping in. So I don't see the points coming in bunches on either side. I think this Hogs offense for me runs through Rocket Sanders, and if he's not playing, then I just don't see the points coming here. I could easily see a 20-13 kind of game, 21-14.
20-14, you mean?
20. Okay, 20.
He always picks right on the point spread, so he dances on the line. He doesn't have to give a pick. He doesn't have to pick his side. I could see 21-14, 20-14 somewhere in there.
Yeah, exactly. So nobody can say, he wasn't at least on it. No, I like the under here. I don't see it getting into the 40s.
That could be the new Ruffalo picking the game right on the
spread. Right. I'll take the under, but right on the point spread.
Yeah, exactly.
Jay, you got a bet in this one?
Taking the Hogs. They bounce back at home in this one. This is just what they do. This team is really inconsistent, but then they always just bounce back. Like my grandpa, this is his favorite team. We talk about them all the time. I talked about this on the show a minute ago. He asked me what Arkansas team is going to show up, and I tell him every time, I don't know. And I think that just sums them up. But with that being said, is with them being so down now, losing 5 straight, I think that this is the one that they come home and get it done. When you look at the level of competition, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, Texas A&M, I mean, those teams are just flat out better than them. It just is what it is.
Exactly, because they're exhausted now. They
State,
need that bye week. They have nothing left for the Bulldogs. Bulldogs. The Bulldogs
these are still top tier athletes, man. They're looking at this game like, man, we've been getting our ass kicked. We need to win a game.
They do need to win, but so does Mississippi State. Coming off a bye week, coming in fresh. Our poll slightly leaning towards the Bulldogs. Looks like 50%, 49% taking the 6.5, 35% laying it. Next is Boston College at Georgia Tech. One sec. This line, I believe, is at 5 now. Was at 4.5 for most of the week. Boston College plus 5. Georgia Tech -5. Over, under. I know this isn't one of the bigger games, so completely get it if you guys are passing on this one. Chris, you got anything for this?
Yeah, I was leaning Georgia Tech just because I still have a little bit of PTSD with Boston College getting 56 put on them by Louisville. But I know Georgia Tech, not necessarily this Louisville offense, but I think Georgia Tech probably wins it by a touchdown. So lean Georgia Tech for me.
Couldn't agree more. I like Georgia Tech by a touchdown plus. I think this Boston College team is – where the heck is the Georgia Tech graphic prop, Beaver? Come on, dude. You're going to be scrolling forever trying to find it. But I think Boston College very overvalued right now. And you know how when, like, it's especially common when it's a quarterback that's athletic, right? And this new guy comes in, Castellanos, really showed out in that Florida State game, right? Everyone like burst onto the scene. Everyone's like, wow, this kid Castellanos can play. But then everyone kind of catches up to him. Everyone's got film on him. Everyone figures out how to stop this kid. And I think that's what's going on because we saw him play a terrible game against Virginia. Now, the game after that, we really didn't get to see if Castellanos was going to bounce back. He played Army, but it was torrential downpour. He only attempted like 8 or 9 passes in the game. I think the ACC has caught up to Castellanos. There's film on him. I think they know how to stop him. And by the way, Haynes King is having himself a year out there at Georgia Tech. He's got great numbers throwing the ball. Georgia Tech's got a passing attack, not really getting talked about. Boston College defense, I don't find it good at all. I like Georgia Tech by at least a touchdown in this one.
Yeah. You want to talk about a change of scenery, doing a good for a guy. I mean, that's Haynes King. I mean, he couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything at A&M, and then all of a sudden he goes to Georgia Tech, and he's
well, getting out of the SEC would help a lot of quarterbacks.
Yeah, true.
All right, Mitch.
I like Georgia Tech in this one, not by much. I just I think that they're headed in the right direction, while Boston College just seems to be running in sand. And it's not one I'm rushing to the window to bet because I don't have that much faith in Georgia Tech. But, I think that, like I said, I just think that they're the better option today. And like it's more of a lean. I try not to pass. I try to at least give an opinion on it. But like I said, not rushing to the window for, to bet on the Ramblin' Wreck. That's for sure.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, we do have a special guest. Jose Altuve is with us today. Catch that game last night, Jay?
Sadly.
You got to bet on this one or no?
I do. I'm fading all you guys. I'm taking Boston College.
Okay. Jay on an island.
I'll be on an island in this one. I just think there's value in fading Georgia Tech off of the – I say that is the worst loss in college football this year, the Miami loss. It is. And, Georgia Tech kind of lucked into that one. I don't want to lay 6 points with them off of that win. It's pretty much what this comes down to. I know they had a bye in between there, but Boston College, this team is decent. We saw them compete with Florida State. They did get aired out by Louisville. But other than that, I've liked what I've seen from Boston College for the most part. I'm gonna give them a shot today. I think they're a live dog in this one. I don't think Georgia Tech is as good as advertised. They're 3-3 as well.
I'm surprised I'm not seeing more Boston College out there. When I first looked at this one and I saw Georgia Tech, I forget where it was at. Was that 4 even? I think earlier in the week. I thought Boston College was going to be a public dog, but actually it seems like everyone's on Georgia Tech, which obviously I wish it wasn't like that, but that's the reality of it. So Jay on an island with Boston College. We got 70% of this is my point in case. 70% of our viewers are laying it with Georgia Tech, 18% on Boston College. So Georgia Tech looking like the public side here. Next up, Washington State at Oregon. I don't even know why I put this one in there. I'll put it up. What is the line at now? 18.5? Or I think it's at 20. Washington State
It's
plus
at 20 now.
Obviously, at first glance, I want to take the Cougs just because coming off the most embarrassing loss in recent Washington State history. But let's see if I can find a. There you go, Washington State plus 20. But I'm not betting this. Mitch, you betting this?
Yeah, I like the Ducks at home. I think they rung it up here on the Cougs. I've been on Washington State plenty this season, but I saw enough from them last week to know that they're probably in some deep doo-doo in this spot. The thing about the Ducks is that they have a chance to get back, and I'm sorry if I'm slurring a little. My Vicodin's kicking in something fierce here. But we've got we're talking Ducks. So the Ducks are back at home, and they still believe, because they should, that they have a shot to get into the playoff this season. If they run the table out, they get another crack at Washington. That game will be at a neutral site in Vegas. So if you lost by 3 at Washington, you certainly have a good crack at these guys on a neutral site. And, the Pac-12 championship game is in Vegas. And Bo Nix still very much alive in that Heisman race. I caught a couple of bodacious ads when I went to ESPN this week. So I'm going to guess that he still very much thinks he can win it. I think, Penix, not everyone knows I'm not sold on him for the Heisman, but I've been on Washington State plenty. I just think that a little luster off the Cougs right now for me. And Outson, ridiculously tough building.
Yeah, but coming off that loss, that's what I'm looking at. I think if it wasn't for that, then I'd be with you on Oregon as far as matching these two teams up. I just don't like Washington State coming off the embarrassment. But I'm not betting it, so I shouldn't even argue with you because I'm not actually taking it.
No, I could see a path, but I've been on Washington State plenty. I just don't think they have the speed to hang with the Ducks. I might not either today. We'll see.
What about Rat Hawk? Wait, no. I already know what Rat Hawk's betting. Over.
No, I'm taking Oregon. I might even go extended line on Oregon here. I think they beat the crap out of Washington State here. Washington State, they can move the ball through the air. This is a top 5 passing offense. I'm not disputing that. But Oregon, they're good defensively. They're good pretty much everywhere. And what the difference for me is that Oregon, top 10 in passing, best team in the country in terms of completion percentage. Washington State's pass defense ranked 119th. So Autzen, a tough place to go on the road. I think Oregon's like the most profitable home team in over the last 20 years, something like that. So I'm taking Oregon big here.
All right. And last up, Jay, you got a pick in this one.
Taking the Ducks as well.
Everyone's on the Ducks.
Hey, the Ducks go crazy at the crib. Like I say on my jam session, they go stupid, dummy, crazy. That's just the truth of it all. I witnessed what they did to Colorado. Y'all all witnessed me lose $5,000 to Mitch last time Oregon was at home. Hey, I ain't fading these boys, but I done learned my lesson. Not for Washington State. Washington State did look good early in the season, but the way they got ran out of there last week, Oregon can definitely do the same. Not fading them. Got to take them.
And the community agrees with you guys. It looks like about 69% of our viewers, so a lot of people betting the Ducks here, laying the 20, just 15% taking them, 12% over. So a decent amount of the viewers are taking the over in this one. Next up, we got a big one here. Tennessee are in Tuscaloosa. The line's at 8.5. I know a lot of people are on the under in this one, myself included. Tennessee plus 8.5. Alabama minus 8.5 over under. I'll put mine up first. I put this one on YouTube so everyone knows where I'm at on it, but might as well just get it up there, get it over with before you guys go, because my people might not know who you guys are betting yet. So I'm on the under. I also bet the Tennessee team total under 19.5, pretty heavy. I put a separate bet on that one last night, and then I doubled down on it again this morning because it was still at 19.5. Joe Milton can't throw the ball. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he's just a bust. But the passing attack that we saw from Tennessee with Hendon Hooker last year, it's dead. It doesn't exist. It's a shell of itself. They can run the ball, but they cannot throw it. I mean, last week, Tennessee minus 3 was my top bet of the week. Watched every snap of that game against Texas A&M, and Joe Milton was ineffective. He could not get the ball into the hands of his targets. So, yeah, Tennessee can run the ball. That kid Wright is good, that running back for Tennessee. But nobody's running the ball on Alabama this year. Not even Texas. Even the game they lost, Texas averaged like 2.8 yards per carry on Alabama. Nobody's running the ball on the Tide, which means Tennessee's going to come in there And Saban's going to make Joe Milton make plays on the Alabama secondary with his arm, and I'm not seeing it. I could see turnovers. I mean, if Alabama gets a lead, I could see him trying to force play. No, he hasn't really shown us he's a turnover machine, so I don't want to paint Joe Milton with that brush, but I don't know. I don't see a path. I don't see a path for Tennessee. The only way I could see Tennessee covering the number is if the defense just goes nuts and holds Alabama's offense down, which is possible. But that's exactly why I'm playing the under in the Tennessee team total under instead of just laying the 8.5. But I would lay the 8.5 if I was to pick a side here. Chris, Rat Hawk?
Yeah. I'm going with the I'm laying the 8.5 here. There's a few things that play from here. A revenge game for Alabama after last year. And like you said, Tennessee can run the football, but this is a rock solid, Alabama run defense, like you mentioned. And do I trust Joe Milton to make the throw to move the sticks on 3rd and long or 3rd and medium? Mm-mm. Still 8 for 35 of passes of at least 20 yards this season. So
wow.
Yeah.
Passes of at least 20 yards, 8 of 35?
8 for 35.
Oh my God.
So I don't trust.
That's like
Joe
the
Milton.
opposite of Hooker last year. It's like the opposite.
Yeah. And the thing that you mentioned, I've been watching Jalen Milroe because I've last couple weeks, ever since that USF game, I've wanted to see if he's actually going to get better, if I can just peg him as a bust. This guy handles pressure really well. So when Tennessee breaks through, Milroe can handle himself when he's being chased down. So I think even if Tennessee's defense breaks through and forces him out of the pocket, he can still make the plays. So I think Nick Saban's going to be a complete asshole in this one. I look for him to win this one by double digits.
All right, let's bring up Jay next. You making a bet on this one? Yeah, you are. It's Alabama, Tennessee. I know you are.
Of course. And I just want to remind you guys, remember what we saw the last time we saw Tennessee on the road? They got absolutely slacked.
At Florida?
We're never in the game. We're never in the game against a team that's doesn't have near the talent that Alabama has. Florida's not that good, man. Tennessee at home, they go crazy. On the road, no, sir. We already seen Alabama drop one at home this year to Texas. They're not doing anything remotely close to that. Saban's going to run the score up on Tennessee. Was it last year where they threw the pole in the water in Tennessee and all that? Was that last year or was that 2 years ago?
Last year was the year Tennessee beat them.
Last year.
So that was
only
last
year they
year.
beat them in
Yeah,
100 years.
nah.
It's over.
I'm taking Bama. I'm laying it.
If Joe Milton has even been decent, I would consider it, but he just doesn't look good at all, and it really makes it hard for me to get to the Tennessee side, even with a nice number like 8.5. Mitch, you're not taking Tennessee here, are you?
Hell no. Taking Bama. They own Tennessee. This is actually a rivalry game, but it's almost like the Tiger Woods-Phil Mickelson rivalry where one team wins all the time. And I think that, Bama's Tiger in this spot. I'm going to have to roll with the Tide in this one. Nick Saban eats those 2 Little Debbie oatmeal cookie pies every morning with a cup of coffee. I think he's going to have himself a 3rd pie after this game because I look for the Tide to absolutely wipe the floor with them. I could see a defensive score, which has been a trademark of the Alabama programs under Nick Saban. And we just haven't seen those defensive scores this year out of the Tide. But I think this is the year. I mean, this is the game that we see it because, as Chris said, Joe Milton is straight ass. I summarized that for him.
Yeah, he looks bad, Joe Milton. I was cursing at my TV with Tennessee -3 as my top bet last week. Like, this guy sucks. He was so bad. So 58% of our viewers are laying the points with Alabama, 26% taking the 8.5, 11% under. So a lot of people out there with me on the under there. Next game, South Carolina at Mizzou. All right. Let's clear the board here. This number is at 7.5. So South Carolina plus 7.5. Mizzou minus 7.5 over under. Mitch, you better be on the Gamecocks here.
I've been on Missouri a ton this season. I
Me
love
too.
Eli Drinkwitz, and of course Luther Beast of Burden's our guy. But I like the Gamecocks here plus the points. I just think that I think Mizzou wins this game, 3-4 points type game. South Carolina, as we saw last week, the masters of disappointment. But I think at the same time, I think they keep it close again and, crush the hearts of their fans who, if you look all the way back at the South Carolina program, they never even made bowl games until Lou Holtz became the coach there. So like when Lou Holtz was the coach there, like by the time he left, they had made 3 bowls in their entire history. So it's a program that's been around for a long time, but doesn't have a real history of winning. And, I think Mizzou is the better team, but they're not blowing anybody out either.
100% agree. And this comes. Yeah, I took South Carolina plus 7.5. I also took the money line. I didn't give that out on the site, but personally on the side, I put a few dollars on the money line. This, for me, comes down to matchups. So we look at the body of work for Missouri, right? They're having a great season. But look what happens when they play a passing attack, right? Kansas State, they needed a 61-yard field goal to win that game. Middle Tennessee almost beat them. They can throw it. That's more of a flat spot, though. I'm not going to read too much into that. Then last week, they play Kentucky, who is a run-first program. Devin Leary isn't doing shit through the air. They play a run-first program, and they look immaculate because Missouri's defense is great against the run. But when they play these teams that can throw it, they're struggling. That secondary doesn't look good. The defense doesn't look good against the pass. All South Carolina can do is throw it. That's all they can do on offense. We know Spencer Rattler's got a ton of arm talent. Missouri's betting value is at an all-time high. South Carolina betting value at an all-time low. It's a perfect buy low, sell high spot. 7.5. I would have this one at 4.5. I think we're getting a ton of value with this number. Really think South Carolina's a live dog. We're looking at a shootout here. Now, is South Carolina's defense going to be able to make stops on Missouri's offense, Brady Cook, Luther Burden? No. But one thing I will say about South Carolina's defense, specifically against the pass, it's undervalued right now. If you look at the numbers, they look terrible. Look at who they've played, man. I don't know if any secondary's had a tougher schedule. Georgia, Drake May in North Carolina. They played, let me pull it up, because every single one of their weeks is against another quarterback who can get the ball downfield. They played, one second. I have it right here. So look at this. They played North Carolina and Drake May. They played Georgia on the road in Athens. Mississippi State, Will Rogers can throw it. Tennessee, well, Joe Milton kind of sucks, but it's on the road in Knoxville. And then Florida with Graham Mertz. So, I mean, this South Carolina secondary hasn't had a break, and this isn't a break at all. What I'm saying is the secondary isn't nearly as bad as you think it is. They just have played an insane amount of passing offenses. Gamecocks are the play here. I'm on South Carolina. That's a
gruesome schedule.
That's insane, right? And you'll hear somebody on a podcast being like, well, South Carolina's got the worst pass defense in the FBS. Look at their numbers. Yeah. Look
that schedule.
Yeah, for real. There's 100 secondaries in the FBS that are getting absolutely roasted on that with that schedule.
I mean, you look at Michigan's out of conference where they play New Mexico or something, and these guys are playing North Carolina, to open the season.
Right. That's their non-conference game.
And then they have Clemson is their other out of conference. Their last game of the year, they play Clemson.
Yeah, they don't get a break. Radhawk, tell me you're on Mizzou. You're on Mizzou, aren't you?
No, I know I'm on the over. I was on Mizzou and it was at 6.5 personally. Okay. But when it shifted out through 7, it was straight to the over for me. I'm still I'm still sour on South Carolina's pass defense. If you give up 423 passing yards to Graham Mertz.
Well, Mertz threw for 333 on Utah.
Nah, yeah.
On the road.
I'm still stuck on.
Bro, you guys are a bunch of Mertz haters on this show.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not a closet Mertz hater. I'm open about it. But with that being said, South Carolina, I think Brady Cook will be able to have some success. But Spencer Rattler threw for 4 touchdowns last week. He's playing some solid football as well. And through the air is where you can attack this Missouri defense. I think 73rd in pass defense, 79th in passing attempts allowed per game, 95th in completion percentage allowed per game. So, yeah, I think this is high scoring. I think this gets well into the 60s.
I like Mizzou's defense against the run, like Exhibit A, the Kentucky game last week. But against a passing offense, you can't trust this defense. Yeah. And now we bring up Jay, a.k.a. Jose Altuve, to finish this off. Where are you at, Jose?
Man, the Cox have let me down 2 weeks in a row on a Saturday. Are you confident on the third Saturday going outside that he's going to get the deal done? I don't know. I don't know. Me personally, I would be, but for this team, I don't know. I lean that direction, but I'm not as confident as you guys are.
So South Carolina or pass?
Yes, Mizzou is the better team, but I think that South Carolina can sneak in that back door. I do agree a lot with what you said. Their schedule has been tough, but they really upset me last week losing to Florida.
Way they lost, too, was disgusting.
Yeah, so, it's South Carolina or pass.
But that kind of plays into it because you got to think, if South Carolina wins that game and Graham Mertz doesn't throw that 4th and 22 or whatever, what's this line? This line's probably like 6.5.
I'd say 4.5.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We're getting points of value just because of 1 4th and 22 play. I think that what you just said kind of plays into our favor as far as the number we're getting.
Fair enough.
Our poll is on South Carolina. 49% taking the 7.5, 32% laying it with Mizzou. Let's go ahead and move on to Minnesota at Iowa. Let's bring up Mitch first for this one because I know he's a huge Big Ten guy. I said that sarcastically. I don't think he likes the Big Ten.
I love the Floyd of Rosedale game, and I love one of the best trophies in all of sports.
What,
you guys
this
know
one?
I love
This
my
one?
trophy games. Yeah, this is for Floyd of Rosedale. This is about as good of a trophy as it gets. I think this could be the best trophy in all of sports.
Who wins it?
This and the Axe. This and the Axe go pretty much hand in hand. This is one of those games where you look at it and you say, I was on Iowa last week, right, against Wisconsin. I think I was on Island there, and now Jay might have been with me. And I think that, this week, I don't like this number, man. This looks like this is a scary, sharp number here because you would think that Iowa would just be a big favorite in this thing, that, it would be like Iowa and under, like same game parlay city. So, boy, you almost got to say Minnesota and over. It's like you got to be thinking along those lines. Only just to be a contrarian because they're playing for Floyd. So when you see Floyd on the field, it's going to be all everything else goes out the window. If you've never seen the Floyd or Rosedale Trophy, by all means, Google it now and tell me you don't love it. I know Ruffalo's a big fan.
Well, you just made the correct pick by taking Minnesota because that's the side to be on this week, in my opinion. Everyone's down on the Gophers right now. Everyone's completely forgotten that PJ Fleck's turned this team around so many times. And I don't even think this Minnesota team is very good, but you got coming off a bye week, going on the road against Iowa, a team that just played a really tough defensive game on the road to Madison last week. By the way, Iowa's offense is terrible, and I know they won 15-6. Their touchdown, they broke an 82-yarder. Other than that, they did nothing. And when I say nothing, I don't mean he had 90 yards passing. No. He did nothing. Deacon Hill was 6 of 14, averaging 2.6 yards per pass attempt. 2.6, not per carry, 2.6 yards per pass attempt. This offense is so bad.
That's Ruffalo's shot put numbers from high school. He was a high school shot putter.
He was all conference. So getting 3 and a hook against a team that really might not score 10 points. Iowa might not score 10 points. Minnesota's got a great run defense. What are they going to do? I'm not crazy about Minnesota's offense and Kaliak Manis going on the road here in Iowa, but 3 and a hook against a team that might not hit 10 points, just it's too perfect. And then everyone's betting Iowa too. Definitely. What say you, Rat Hawk?
First of all, don't you dare sully my all-district shot put award. Okay, that's a prized possession in my trophy case. I'm about to give you the most dirtiest pick.
You're not taking this under. You're not doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh 100%. My God.
Deacon Hill could not hit water if he fell out of the boat in the middle of the ocean.
Facts.
23 of 62 passing since he took over for Cade McNamara. It has been dreadful. And Iowa, they can't run the football well either. 100th in rushing yards per game. I have nothing here. Minnesota, 121st in total offense. I see 10-7. I see 13-10. Or 14-10, whatever. Because I know you guys are going to give me flack for that.
Yo. 13-10 was fine, bro. Chill with 13-10.
Fine. 10-7, 13-10. I forgot what the line was.
I think that's what I said. In my notes, I said this game has 13-10 written all over it. This is a 13-10 game.
This is a horrendous total, but it's this is historically low. And even then, the totals for Iowa, I think last year they had 2 totals that were 31 and 32, and they both still went under the number. So it was 24-0 against Kentucky in the bowl game, and I think it was this game as well that was like 13-10.
So just for those of you that don't know, this total is at 30.5. You can see on the left side of the screen. So Rat Hawk is taking under 30.5. That's why I was laughing at it, because that's just crazy.
Yeah.
Jay, do you have a pick?
Of course. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. This is actually a premium for me today. I usually don't do this, but this is actually one of my favorite plays on the board. I'm taking Iowa. I'm laying the points. It's short, sweet, and simple. Yes. All day. All day. The reason why y'all are all talking about Iowa's offense, what about Minnesota's offense? Minnesota's not scoring today. They're getting shut out.
Bro, they got the real Greek freak at quarterback. Not
They're
Giannis.
not scoring. They're getting shut out. They're going to put up a
They
zero.
moved the ball at will on Eastern Michigan.
At Eastern Michigan.
And Jay wonders why he
Throwing
hates
it out there.
Jay wonders why he
Throwing
hates
it out
college
there.
football.
I know. I just see that these boys getting shut out today, man.
They might get shut out, but they'll win
They
3-0.
controlled the game.
And I think Iowa's offense gets a bad rep. Are they bad? Do they leave a lot to be desired? Yes. But I see this game 10-0. That's how I see it. 13-0, something like that. I really do.
This game is 9-7.
I don't think Minnesota gets on the board. I think Iowa does enough offensively.
37-30.
I like the under as well with Ruffalo. But I'm going Iowa. I'm going to lay it here. I think this is just the better team. This team's going to only lose one game this year. They're only going to lose one game. And they already lost it. So
They're about to lose their second.
Nah, I don't see it.
Square pick the under in this game or Nady Evaldi tomorrow. Tough one. That's tough.
46% of our viewers are laying it with Iowa. So actually, the community agrees with Jay. Just 23% taking it, 19% under, and 10% over. So a lot of action on the total in this one. This low total, people are either with it or against it. But there's a lot of people hitting that super low total. Next up, Wisconsin at Illinois. Speaking of some Big Ten West high octane offense, let's talk Wisconsin, Illinois. No, but Illinois is actually showing some signs of improvement here. This line's at 3. I actually will go first on this one because it's a pass for me. So I'll get mine out of the way. I like the idea of taking Wisconsin the week after that bad loss to Iowa, game that we all know they should have won. No. So I would lean Wisconsin, but it feels too. I would rather it be at 4.5, so it feels right. So I'll just put Wisconsin on the screen. This isn't a bet of mine, but that's the way I would lean. Illinois +3 definitely feels like the sharp side. I would take Wisconsin in a bounce back spot, but not one of my favorites. Rat Hawk?
Oh yeah, I'm passing on this one too. This is disgusting because I didn't love Wisconsin to begin with, but I love them I like them even less without Tanner Mordecai. And I'm not an Illinois fan, so yeah, it's pass for me in this one.
All right, let's move on to Mitch. You have a bet in this one?
Yeah, I'm going to take Illinois here. I just love betting against Wisconsin. Can't stand them, and I think that we saw last year Illinois not afraid of these guys one bit. Brett Bielema, former Wisconsin coach, did not leave on good terms. Was not received well by Wisconsin fans, still not. And I think he likes to stick at their face in it. And even though he couldn't win a game at Arkansas after he left that Wisconsin job, he's winning at Illinois here and there, and especially when you least expect it. I expect Illinois to win this one on the money line.
I've actually heard
Wisconsin second-string quarterback. I mean, he makes the Iowa quarterback look like an athlete.
Mitch, why do you hate Wisconsin? Luke Fickell just got there. What's the hate about them?
I like Luke Fickell, but I went to a game there with Wade at Doc Sports. He got so drunk he couldn't find the stadium and he ghosted me. At the game,
it's not Wisconsin's fault.
Having to go. Well, it was we'll just chalk it to a negative experience at
guilty by association.
It was a cold day as well. I had to sit there with his father's friends. Nothing fun about that.
Guilty by association.
All right, let's bring
other than that. I tell you what, if I had a chance to go back to school, that would definitely be on my short list. looked like an awesome campus.
Oh, short list is in that you would want to go.
Yeah,
all right.
It's an awesome campus.
Jay, you gotta play in this one. This isn't one of my favorites personally.
Pass.
Yeah,
Pass.
yeah. I don't blame you there. I didn't want to put pass up because I put the word coward in the graphic for pass, so I didn't want it under my face. But this is actually a pass for me too. So 48% of our viewers.
I'm at peace with it. I've been called worse.
47% of our viewers laying the 3, 25% taking the 3, 20% under. That's a lot for those polls. There's a lot of people taking the under in this one, and I could see it, especially after what we just saw last week from Wisconsin in that 15-6 final score.
That quarterback's terrible, man. Terrible.
Next
Terrible.
game,
18.
Oklahoma State at West Virginia. Let's bring up Rat Hawk first to start this one out. Let me get the graphic down. You're no longer a coward. It's a new day. We're on a new game.
For now.
Thank
For
you.
now.
Thank you.
For now.
You're temporarily not a coward. So the line last I saw was Oklahoma State +3, West Virginia -3. Do you have a play?
Yeah, it's a lean for me towards West Virginia. I think this is a sneaky good game. If you told me coming into the season that this is actually going to be a pretty good matchup in Week 8, I might have thought you were crazy. But both teams 4-2. But I just think that West Virginia wants to get the bad taste out of their mouths from that Hail Mary loss to Houston. I just still can't trust Oklahoma State with Alan Bowman personally. I think Garrett Green's a better quarterback. I think West Virginia is a slightly better defense. So give me West Virginia here.
Couldn't agree more. I'm all over WVU here, and this isn't just a lean. I'm betting this pretty heavy. You like West Virginia? Really wish I could get 2.5, but that's unrealistic. Was at 3.5 earlier in the week. I would imagine it's probably going to be 3 right up till kick. Yeah, so obviously this Oklahoma State team has seen a turnaround. Whatever Mike Gundy did on the bye week or whatever the hell happened, it worked. Team looks better, but they still haven't shown us that defense can stop a run. They still haven't shown us that. Even in the games they just won, they're still getting run on, and that's all West Virginia does. If you look at the top of the FBS in run frequency, it goes Air Force, Navy, Army, West Virginia. Like, they run the ball like that. Garrett Green can run it. They got 2 backs that can run it. They're coming out looking to run the ball, and Oklahoma State can't stop it. Now, on the other side of the ball, Bowman and that offense, yeah, they're showing signs of improvement, but West Virginia's defense in Morgantown, historically pretty tough, even though the last couple years that hasn't really been the case, but historically a tough defense to come into Morgantown and move the ball on. They look pretty good defensively this year, so I like West Virginia by at least a touchdown in this one. Let's bring up Jay. Jay, you have a move in this one.
West Virginia.
Good pick. Good pick. That's the right side.
Yeah. I've been down on Oklahoma State all year. This team, it just doesn't do it for me. Short, sweet, simple. I've liked what I've seen from West Virginia in certain big games, and I just feel like I can trust this team more than I can trust Oklahoma State. This is not like one of my favorite games on the card today, but no way would I be touching Oklahoma State. I lean West Virginia.
Is there a strong Oklahoma State fan base in Dallas? Because like Des Bryant and Cowboys and shit.
I wouldn't say huge, but like it's a good little mix.
Brandon Whedon.
And don't forget B-Weeds.
Yeah.
All right, Mitch. Are you sweeping with West Virginia with us?
No, I'm on Oklahoma State in
Bad
this
pick.
thing.
That's a bad pick, Mitch.
I don't see it here with West Virginia. I'm not feeling it. Coming into the season, I was really down on West Virginia. They've done a couple of nice things, but I really like the turnaround that they've done at Oklahoma State. They have a ton of talent on this team. They're never short on talent. Like we talked about last week, Spencer Sanders was run out of town on this team. And, that just tells you something. There's been some great Oklahoma State players over there. You could talk about Brandon Whedon all day long, but Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas both went there too. Barry Sanders, the greatest college running back in the history of the game, and might be the best pro running back in the history of the game. But that's different show. We'll save that one for the Jose Altuve show. But anyways, I'm going to go with Oklahoma State. I just like the way they're playing right now, and they're not afraid of being in the underdog role. They've won outright as dogs the last 2 weeks, and I think they do it again here. I just don't think this West Virginia team is all that good. We saw them get roasted last week by Houston of all teams. A team that you personally
Roasted.
don't like.
Well, actually,
you know that.
yeah, but Houston's
gave up
got an
41
explosive
points,
passing
didn't they?
attack. Yeah, but the last one came on
Well,
like a Hail
if you
Mary.
leave a
But
wide receiver open in the end zone and for a Hail Mary, they do.
it wasn't open. It was a deflected what? Yo, but the thing is with that game, Houston has an explosive passing offense. Alan Bowman doesn't have that. They're going to try to run the ball in West Virginia. It's not going to work.
He went to Texas Tech. I mean, he certainly has the goods. If you went to Texas Tech and played quarterback, you can throw the football. It's mandatory.
Well, I hope that freshman can't because I'm fading Texas Tech today because of that freshman.
I'm fading.
49% of our viewers laying the 3 West Virginia, 39% taking the 3. So this one's more split. And if you like Oklahoma State with Mitch, the line movement's on your side because Publix is definitely on West Virginia and it moved from 3.5 to 3. So the line movement is on your side if you like Oklahoma State.
Probably not one I'm rushing to bet. I got so much action out there today, so it's.
Yeah, I actually didn't love this one as much as I thought last week's was a lot better. So Jay, we're starting with you on this one because we're talking Longhorns, and I don't have much to say on it because what's the line? 24.5 or something now? 34.5? What is this line? 23.5?
Yeah, it's up there.
I'm just gonna put 24 in the poll. One thing I will say, Houston and Donovan Smith can score. Whether or not they can make a single stop against Texas, that's use your judgment, but they can score, Houston. So, Jay, do the Cougs have a shot at covering here?
They have a shot. I'm going to be honest. They have a shot, but I wouldn't put my money on them to do so. If I were to bet this game, which I'm not, I would bet Texas. The thing is Texas, they've had a whole week to sit there and stir after that loss to Oklahoma. Like they've had a bye week. So I just think that they come out here collectively focused. And I've said, y'all have heard me say on this show many times this year, I think Texas was the best team in the country. I know they lost to Oklahoma, so that doesn't look that well now, but I still like a lot of the things here with Texas. It was concerning how Oklahoma moved the football on this Texas defense, which I thought was one of the best in the country. I still think they are, and I think that's what we're going to see here today. I know Houston offense is explosive, but I think Texas is going to try to hang their hat on their defense today. Slow down Houston offensively, and then offensively, I'm not really worried about Texas offensively. They can score with the best of them. I think defense is where we see the biggest upgrade from them. The other big game we saw Houston play, they got shut down by TCU. They only put up 13 points. We don't think of TCU as, this great defense.
No, we don't.
I think of Texas as having a pretty solid defense. I think they can hold down Houston a little bit. I would lay it here with Texas, but not rush into the window.
Yeah, same. I agree with you. I could also see over, maybe like a Texas team total over. I don't see Houston making a single stop against the offense, especially coming off the bye, like Jay said. And look, Donovan Smith is capable of making plays, but you know what? Like Jay said, we've also seen him not make plays before too. So Texas feels like the safer side. Definitely not one of my favorites, though. Let's bring up the Rat Hawk, see if he has anything to say on this. We have Rat Hawk's on the over. I already know.
No, I'm on Texas.
Oh, okay.
Because we talked a little bit earlier about that in that Missouri-South Carolina game, how if the game goes a different way, we could be talking about value with the line being a couple points lighter. I think if Houston doesn't win that game last week, this line's probably 27.5. So I think getting 23.5 here, I like Texas in this one. I map this one out at 49-21. So I look at the over too, and it's like you guys have said, I just don't see Houston getting the stops. This is a Houston pass defense that is 118th in passing yards allowed per game going up against a Texas offense is just outside the top 20. I think Houston can score. They'll put up some points, but like I said, this is all Houston, all Texas in this one to bounce back. They have to get style points for the playoff committee. So,
and here comes Mitch to tell us about Houston's NIL money. Should I put Houston plus 23.5 up for you?
I'm going to take them on the money line here. I think that Steve Sarkisian is an 8-5 straight up coach on a good day.
I get it. That's
and
fair,
I think
man.
that,
it's fair, man. It's fair.
I think that, I think Houston is about as live a dog as you get at this kind of price that you see all season.
I ain't mad
We
at it.
definitely see the Texas teams, the teams from the state of Texas, rise to the occasion when Texas comes to town. Most of the kids that grew up in Texas, except for Jay, all dreamed of playing for the Longhorns someday. And when they're not able to play for the Longhorns and they go to one of these other schools, they get way up for these games. And that's why you see Texas always lose on the road against Texas teams. Texas Tech, Houston, whoever the case may be, TCU, right? It doesn't matter who it is. They lose to Texas teams on the road traditionally. And I'll tell you who else is a loser. Steve Sarkisian. He's, losing for him breeds losing. That loss last time out against Oklahoma. They've had 2 weeks to think about how crappy they are. Now they know it, and so does everybody else. I'm taking Houston on the money line. Shamelessly.
Would I say, Mitch? I ain't mad at it.
I love taking the shots on the huge dogs. I don't see this as one of them. Texas coming off a bye, maybe
That's
first
what
half.
Makes it. That's
you
what makes it
Houston first half?
so good. That's what makes it so good because everyone's bought into this. Like they don't believe me when I say Steve Sarkisian's an 8-5 coach, but that's what the resume says. That's his high end. His high end is 9-4.
He's not 8-5 against Houston.
High end.
He's 8-5. Someone call Mitch's doctor and cut down the dosage of his Vicodin.
Let's increase, but as needed, baby, as needed. They said, last year. I mean, look at Texas last year against the Texas teams. Look at Sarkisian traditionally, and look at him last year in spots like this. Whitewashed.
There's some truth to what he's saying. I get it. It's worth the shot. It's worth the shot. But
he is a shitty
Our
coach.
community disagrees with Mitch.
Yeah, of course they do.
And
which makes me like the pick even better. But, look at my Lincoln Riley. Who was closer to the final score in that one, Last week. It was – I was.
Yes, I can't believe that crazy rant turned out to be a good take. I can't believe that one.
It did. Kyle, you'll be surprised how many of his crazy rants actually.
93 million views, man. I got to be right once in a while.
I've been on the wrong side of a couple of them, man.
So I'm Rat Hawk. Jay's Jose Altuve. Can Mitch be as needed next week?
Actually, because he is on the Vicodin because of his surgery, I almost put Dr. House as his name. Next up, Ole Miss at Auburn. Interesting matchup because there's a lot of people on Auburn in this one. Got me a little puzzled, I guess, because it's a home dog, and it's like, SEC matchup, home dog. I'm not seeing it. Auburn sucks. I think everyone just assumes that Auburn has a run defense because they usually do. They don't. They're struggling to stop the run this year. Ole Miss is really trying to get Judkins going. Hasn't really gone to plan offensively. This is the day. Ole Miss is going to run it down the throats of Auburn, and I know that never happens in Auburn. It's about to happen. I like Ole Miss by double digits here. I like how there's a lot of people betting Auburn. Go ahead, keep it under 7 for me. I'm on the Rebels. Raddock?
Keep it nice and warm for you. I'm with you. I'm on Ole Miss here as well. I think people are still hanging on to this Auburn performance last time they were at home against Georgia, and people say, weird things happen at Jordan-Hare. Yeah, but to me, this comes down to which offense do I trust to make plays down the stretch, and heads and shoulders, that is Ole Miss. I don't trust Auburn offensively. Can the defense hold its own? Maybe, but what's more likely here for me? Auburn making this a close game or Ole Miss winning this one by 10 to 14 points. I think it's the latter. So give me Ole Miss here. The points.
A lean for me to Ole Miss as well.
Wow, I'm surprised by this. I thought you guys would be taking Auburn.
Nah, I'm a lean Ole Miss. Auburn has been, solid in certain games this year. We've seen them compete, but Ole Miss is still kind of in that one-loss range too, where they feel like if they run the table, they're in. So I don't think that they get there, but that doesn't mean that they don't believe so. Style points matter, and I think a touchdown plus is in order for this Ole Miss team. Lane Kiffin is that coach that say they're up 4 with 30 seconds left, he's going to go down and try to score. So
I would imagine Lane Kiffin's another one of the guy Mitch hates on. We'll find out in a second, but I think he might be. Mitch, are you sweeping Ole Miss with us?
I think that, of course not. And I think that Jay might have misspoken there about Ole Miss having a chance to get back in it, because the problem that they have is this. They have one loss. They play in the SEC West. They have one loss. Their one loss is to Alabama, who has no losses in the SEC West. Right. So it would take 2 Alabama losses and an Ole Miss to run it out, which is a little bit of a reach, because if you look at Bama's schedule, it's not all that coming in, except for the game against Auburn, which you could throw the record books out the window, the Iron Bowl. They do have the LSU game, which they're going to torch.
LSU might beat Alabama.
No, it's no chance. But I'm taking.
But
Auburn
I can't
in
see
this
them
one.
losing to
I think.
Tennessee.
I think Chris is mad that maybe the War Eagle ripped a piece of pizza out of his hand when he was taking the flight around the stadium at Jordan Hare or something. Because I'm telling you, Jordan Hare is a great place to watch a game. I think that everybody out there, whenever you're visiting cities, going around the country, check out some of these stadiums, man. These college football stadiums, especially these SEC or even the Big Ten or all of them. It's like you really get that whole atmosphere and you get to take it in. And I think for me, a lot of like why I love college football so much is all those experiences I've had in a lot of these stadiums. That a lot of that I share with everybody. I try to, but I think in this one, I just think that it's going to be a sloppy game, and I think that goes in Auburn's favor. I'm not a Lane Kiffin fan because I think he's only done one thing that's interesting in his whole career, and that is kind of like what they used to do with Michael Jordan on the Bulls. Get Reggie Bush in space and get him the football, and that's all he's ever done. Outside of that, I don't really see what else he's ever accomplished. He was a great assistant at Alabama, great assistant at USC. Kind of exactly the same resume as Sarkisian.
I told you that pizza thing in confidence.
I've seen those seagulls repeatedly flying around with full slices in their mouth.
It's like when Homer Simpson had to wrestle the hot dog away from the dolphin.
Our poll's all over Ole Miss, so I'm kind of surprised by that because what I've been gathering from social media and what I've been reading, I feel like there's a lot of people on Auburn, but not today, not in here. Because 3 of us are on Ole Miss, and our poll, 69% of the viewers are on Ole Miss, just 16%.
I'd like to think we have a pretty sharp audience on our show here.
Yeah, I would think if you're watching this show, most likely you're an experienced sports bettor.
Or you have a problem. Or you really got nothing else.
Or you should get some help. So Texas Tech, BYU is next. I'll go first because it's very simple for me. That freshman quarterback that took over for Morton last week for Texas Tech didn't look good. And you got BYU coming off a bye week. It's that simple for me. BYU, I think, is undervalued right now. Not that I think they're good. You're getting a home dog, getting 3 points, coming off a bye against a freshman quarterback that looked bad. Can say, Chris, that freshman is definitely starting, right? Morton is out. I don't know if anyone looked at that. From what I was reading, it sounded like he was out. So if he's out, BYU +3 is the play for me, as long as it stays above 2.5. If it drops down to 2.5, it would probably be a pass for me. But yeah,
I would imagine he's out. It's a sprained AC joint. So,
Mitch, you got anything for this one?
Yeah, I'm taking the Cougs at home. I think that. I don't even understand the line, to be honest with you. It's almost like trying to shake you out. I think because BYU got roasted so badly last time out by TCU, maybe that's where it comes from. But Texas Tech hasn't shown us anything on the road. I mean, going all the way back to week 1, the loss of Wyoming, right? Outright. So I don't know. I don't see it. I don't see where it comes from. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's BYU money line more than likely, but if there's value there, if not, I'll just take the field goal.
Texas Tech, man. His team here.
And Jay had already mentioned he's fading Texas Tech, so I'll put that up on the board for him.
I'm fading these boys. I agree with Mitch said, man. On the road, terrible. Even last week at home, they couldn't get it done. They got slaughtered. This is a huge game for BYU. BYU's trying to get their first Big 12 win over somebody that's been there. I know they beat Cincinnati, but, they're both just coming in. They lost to Kansas and lost to TCU. This is the first one. They're at home, so I think they win this game straight up, man. Texas Tech at home is usually a good spot to look at them on the road. We saw them get beat up by West Virginia and company. I'm taking BYU. I'm taking the Cougs here.
Rat Hawk, are we sweeping? Someone just said something funny in the chat. Someone goes, never heard of either of these teams. Texas Tech, never heard of them. Must be trash. That's what he said.
BYU's got a
where you at?
Yeah, we're sweeping it.
Mahomes went to Texas Tech. So,
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So did Crabtree.
Yeah, there's been more, 32-year-old first-round picks out of BYU than any other college in the country. Yeah, I've got to go with BYU here. Just like you guys said, it's just a fade of Texas Tech and freshman not looking good last week. Keaton Slovis, yeah, he hasn't been spectacular, but he's an experienced quarterback. And BYU's played their best football at home this season. Their 2 losses both came on the road. So give me BYU here.
BYU sweep. I believe that's our first sweep of the day. I think last week our sweeps went 1-2, though. I think we actually had a losing record on the sweeps last week. So there's our first one, BYU. Our poll is slightly leaning BYU as well. 49% of our viewers taking the 3 points, 39% laying it with Texas Tech. Next game, we got 5 more. I got Jay up here first for TCU, Kansas State. Jay, you want to go first on that one?
Man, this is a tough
TCU's
game.
right in your backyard, right?
Fort Worth, yeah, it's about it's up the street. They were actually, of all the Texas teams growing up, my favorite. But they have not been recently, as I've gotten older. Even last year, I was kind of fade them boys. Kansas State, man. What is this team? What is Kansas State? I think is what has me on the fence here. I want to take Kansas State. I'm gonna say lean Kansas State is what I'm gonna do. I think that the run game is gonna be what torches this TCU defense. That's my biggest problem here is this TCU defense. I will say they looked better last week holding BYU to 11. But this team is up and down this year under Sonny Dykes. That's not the team of last year. I think the line is where it's at for a reason. And having it under a touchdown, which I do think Kansas State wins by, I'm a lean in that direction.
I'm on the same page. This is definitely a little bit on the square side. Don't care. I'm on Kansas State as well. Wasn't one of my bigger bets, but I don't think either of these defenses can stop the opponent's run game. I think on paper, both these teams can run at each other. The difference is TCU's got that freshman out there, Josh Hoover, and everyone's looking at his numbers from last week like, oh, he threw for 399 yards or whatever the hell he had. He dropped back to pass 57 times. Whoever's at quarterback, if you drop them back to pass 57 times, they're going to have numbers. I mean, just by logic.
Except for the Iowa guy.
Yeah, Deacon Hill would still be in double digits, but so yeah, I'm not particularly impressed with what I saw from Josh Hoover, and that's the exact. By the way, did you guys see that freshman quarterback on Kansas State? He rushed for 5 touchdowns last week. He was also 8 of 9 throwing the ball, but that's the difference. So I think both teams can run at each other. The difference is Kansas State has the option of putting 8 guys in the box and selling out to stop TCU's run game. TCU can't do that because Will Howard, that freshman, I mean, both of them will go over the top on him. So TCU doesn't have as much flexibility as far as their defensive play calling goes. I like Kansas State in a comfortable one. Kansas State's stock has kind of been slowly falling. Like, they haven't looked quite as good as everyone expected. And I think this might be a reminder game. Like, hey, guys, we're pretty fucking good. Because this Kansas State team is talented. And I think this is a comfortable one. Kansas State by double digits. Rat Hawk?
Man, I feel really bad for Chandler Morris if Josh Hoover ends up being something that would be like the second year in a row where he would have lost the starting gig because of an injury and then never got back into it. Yeah, I gotta go Kansas State as well here. The thing for Hoover is that game was at home and now you're going out on the road, fairly hostile environment at Snyder Stadium, and I think Kansas State, like you guys said, I think they win this one by touchdown. They got 2 dynamic quarterbacks to work with. I don't know how TC is going to slow this one down. So, yeah, give me Kansas State.
Yeah, and what you were saying about the quarterback is it's not like Chandler Morris didn't have a chance to earn that spot. He had his chance. He just didn't really take advantage of it. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but he didn't really establish himself as the must-be starting quarterback.
Well, you would have thought after last year he would have had a fire lit under his
ass. Yeah, you would think. All right, Mitch, are we sweeping Kansas State?
Yep, we are. And you've got to remember back to last year to that Big 12 championship game where Kansas State beat TCU, even though TCU was headed towards the title game or towards the playoff, regardless of if they won or lost, apparently. But, the thing is that Kansas State was actually favored in that game and beat them. So this is a little bit of a revenge match for TCU. And I think if TCU would have got knocked out of the playoff, it probably would have been a little bit more revenge. But the fact that they still got in, maybe a little less salty about that loss in the championship game. But TCU had won the first meeting by 10. Kansas State won the second meeting last year. But Kansas State has dominated the series. And as Chris Ruffalo said, Snyder Family Stadium is a pretty tough building. And K-State plays well there. I know that the offense is unconventional. It always looks like the hidden ball trick. Every play, it looks like, how could this possibly work? But it has for many, many years. And it's called a quarterback that can run when he sees that space. The quarterback Kansas State, it's never like, a weird scramble or anything. It's always a dead takeoff run. They never, it's like they always have that momentum going forward. And it just has worked for them forever.
2 purple teams. Watch out.
Yep, 2 purple and silver teams.
55% of our viewers are laying the points with Kansas State, 32% taking it with TCU. I also would lean over in this one, in case everyone was curious. That's what I'd lean that way. All right, let's move on to Michigan at Michigan State. Not quite as exciting a rivalry game as we're normally seeing in this one. Michigan State. Mitch, do you have a Michigan State pick?
Well, normally I do the Michigan State, but this year I think I'm going to go the other way and go with Michigan. Jim Harbaugh runs a super vanilla, boring ass, whatever, but this is a big game for him. It's a big game for Michigan. And while, obviously it looks to be a one-sided game, I don't think that means that Michigan takes their foot off the gas. In a rivalry game, you kind of have that luxury that you can run it up on your opponent shamelessly. And I think, I think Harbaugh will with Michigan. I think he has a team to do it. It's a bad Michigan State team, a down year. They haven't been left in good shape. It's not going to be like this forever, but it is going to be this year. So I like Michigan to absolutely stomp them in this one. Could double up on that spread.
I could see that. And I'm not on Michigan State. But what I did do was I went, hold on, let me scroll to it. I could see Michigan State stealing a touchdown early on a trick play. Because, whatever, they're going to empty the tank as far as whatever they have left. This is it for Michigan State. So I'm on the over because Mitch is right. I think Harbaugh is going to run up the score. But I think if you do like Michigan State, if you're planning on betting Michigan State here or taking the points, I would split your money in half and put half on the first half just to protect yourself a little bit. I think Michigan State maybe can catch them off guard at home with a trick play, break a long one, something. But overall, Mitch is right. Harbaugh's going to pound the ball down the throat of Michigan State, which is why over. The total's kind of low, too. I didn't actually bet it yet, so I don't know it offhand. What was it, at 46.5 or something? I think Michigan might cover that by themselves. So, yeah, I'm definitely on the over on this one. That's my bet. Let's bring up Jay. Jay, do you have the stones to take Michigan State here?
I do not. I'd rather lose with Michigan than try to catch a falling knife with Michigan State. Michigan is I like Michigan. I've said that a lot on this show this year. This team is like a boa constrictor. Like, are they the most talented team? Like top end talent, probably not. But this team is deep, like 1 through 90, wherever many players they got. And I just think that like this is one of the best Michigan teams we've seen in years past against one of the absolute worst Michigan State teams. I'm not trying to catch a falling knife. Michigan probably just gets them over the full course of the game, wins by 30 at the end. I'm going to take Michigan later points.
All right, and last but certainly not least is Rat Hawk. And what are your thoughts?
Well, thankfully I got some callus on my hands, so I can catch a falling knife. I'm going to take Sparty in the points.
No,
here.
You're not.
Yeah, I am 100%. Yeah, if there's one thing that I've learned, and I from working with and doing all these morning shows with Mitch for how long, it's that in a rivalry, it doesn't matter how crappy you are. You can go 1-11 as long as the one win is against your rival. That's all that matters. I'm not saying Michigan State wins.
Stupid man.
Yeah, well, you've called me that before, and I've still. The way it's just the thing is that this is the Super Bowl for Michigan State. This is it. This is a down year.
They're going to get beat by 50 in their own Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, then thankfully it only counts as one game. But Michigan State 12-2-1 against spread in the last 15 meetings. And we've seen, of those 15 meetings, we've seen 3 spreads of at least 3 touchdowns. Michigan State's covered in all 3, including an outright win in 2020. I'm going to take a shot here with the points. I could see 31-7. I just see some sneak in the backdoor garbage from Michigan State. So
I can see a little bit of garbage. And if you notice, I'm talking shit to Rat Hawk. Meanwhile, Iowa didn't really lay it with Michigan. I'm on the over. I'm kind of protecting myself a little bit. 59% of our viewers laying it with Michigan, but 21% clicked Michigan State plus 24.5. So Rat Hawk's cult following is out there, clicking the button. But all right, let's move on to the next one. We have 1, 2. There's actually 4 games left, but one of them should be quick. This is the one that should be quick because, I mean, this one, it's Duke, Florida State, and it comes down to one simple question. Is he playing or not? And I don't think anyone here knows he's not playing.
They just
100%?
said on ESPN it's very, very, very slim to none.
That's what I assumed because he was in crutches, and this line is 14. So if he's not playing, I would lay it with Florida State here. But, I mean, I don't even want to go into it. Duke's defense is awesome and probably good enough to keep them in the game and cover a spread like this. But personally, at home in Florida State, they can't keep up offensively without Riley Leonard. So Florida State would be my pick. But, like I said, didn't even bet this one. Maybe later I will. Rat Hawk?
Yeah, I was seeing it 14.5, so it was only a lean towards Florida State for me. But I did the same thing last week. I kind of shied off of Florida State against Syracuse, and they went and doubled up the spread. They were laying 19. They won by 38. So I lean towards Florida State here, especially because was it Beal is it Beal in the 4th? That's the backup quarterback. He was terrible last week. So
yes, he was.
If it's no Riley Leonard, it's no Duke for me. I'm taking Florida State.
Mitch, Florida State?
Yeah, Florida State for me, I would have taken him with Leonard or without Leonard, except we would have gotten a better number with him. And that would have only been that would have been the only difference. This is a mismatch. I don't think Duke is quite that level. And the closer we get to college basketball season, the less people care. John Shire's contract got more 6-year extension, got bigger news than Riley Leonard's status. So that should tell you everything you need to know. Taking the Noles.
Jay thinks Duke's one of the best teams in the country, doesn't he?
He said they could beat Ohio State and Notre Dame.
I'm staying on that. I'm staying on that hill. I'm taking Duke plus the points here in this one. I'm gonna wait till we get closer to game time. Maybe I get a better line now that we know he's not playing. I was praying he's playing, man. Riley Leonard is him.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool.
I like him a lot. I also really, really, really like this Duke defense, and I think we can hang our hat on it here in this football game. That's what I'm hanging my hat on. This is a group that came back from last year. It's looked really good. And I just don't trust Florida State, man. I don't. Are they a good team? Yes, but we've seen them play in some games, some head-scratcher games. How the hell did they only beat Boston College by 2 on the road? I don't know. Tight game with Clemson. I had them in that game. Clemson's a tough place to play on the road, and I understand they're at home here in this one, but I think Duke is closer to Clemson than they are to Syracuse, Virginia Tech. I think that Duke is in that top tier talent, and I think that Florida State won't be able to run the score up on these boys like you think. I'm hanging my hat on this Duke defense. Florida State probably wins by a touchdown. I might even try to go extended line. Catching some plus money on like a Duke plus 7.5, a Duke plus 6.5, something like that. That's probably how I'm going to try to play this one.
So Jay hanging out on the Duke Island. Our community is definitely on Florida State here. 57% of our viewers laying the 14, 32% taking the 14. Let's move on to the next game, which it's a big one. It's Utah at USC. Clear the picks out here. All right, Utah, USC. This line is 7. You guys already know how I feel about it because I put it on YouTube last night. But real quick, I'll go through it. I'm on the Utes. Utah plus 7. All right. So when everyone looks at this game, the first thing that comes to their mind is Utah's going to try to run the ball. Caleb Williams is going to try to throw the ball on Utah's defense. And that probably is the basic storyline of how this is going to go. The element that's not being mentioned that needs to be what's going on with USC's offensive line. Because through the first 5 games, Caleb Williams was sacked 7 times through those 5 games. He's been sacked 10 times in the last 2 weeks. And Utah has one of the best, if not the best, run defense in the country. So let me paint a picture for you. The run game is not going to be there. You can't run the ball in Utah. The pass rush is coming. Utah's got 24 sacks already. They're the 4th best pass rush in the country. The run's not going to be there. The pass rush is coming. The USC offensive line is breaking down. Caleb Williams, this is a legacy game, man. There's so much pressure on this kid right here. And, we've seen him. He's good enough to cover this number by himself. We've seen him do it. I'm betting against it. I'm sure he'll make some plays. But on the other side of the ball, we've been talking shit about Utah's backup quarterback because Cam Rising apparently is quitting football or whatever the hell he's doing. He's got a serious injury. My bad, Cam, if you're watching. So we know, and we're all been making fun of the Utah backup quarterback all year, but they haven't played a defense. Like, they're playing USC's defense. They're going to hand the ball off. Utah can run the ball. They're going to move the chains and score points. They're going to light the scoreboard up. But on the other side of the ball, that Utah defensive front is coming. USC's offensive line is breaking down. Run's not going to be there. I'm taking a full touchdown here. I'm taking a full touchdown with Utah. Jay, are you back in Caleb Williams? Do you like Caleb Williams? I can't even remember if you're a fan or not.
I like him. I do. I don't like the defense for USC. That's what I don't like. But I'm going to say USC or pass. You said a lot there. I think this is probably one of the biggest games for Caleb Williams' career.
100%.
And it's crazy to say that, but I gotta trust this guy, man. He's looked really good, and last week was his worst loss, 3 interceptions. I mean, his worst performance we've seen. I gotta buy low here. Had they won that game, this line maybe double digits, 10 or so. Utah, they've been solid all season, but I've seen some cracks in their armor. I think their defense breaks rather than bends today. USC wins by double digits. I'm going to lay it.
All right, next, let's bring up the president of the Caleb Williams fan club, Lincoln Riley supporters since the start. All right, Mitch, should I put Utah +7 up there for you?
Or money line, either way.
Mitch,
I don't think USC's got the gumption to really hang here with the Utes. I think Caleb Williams is a fraud and Lincoln Riley is a disgrace to the game. I think that throwing a team out there, calling yourself, being treated like anything whatsoever, when you're just a fraud. When it comes time to playing any team that has any decent players with a decent defense and a decent record, you fold like a tent every single time. They're a joke. We saw last week exactly what I said. Caleb Williams is nothing more than a system quarterback. And if you have a coach that can diagram the system, and let's just say that I like Kyle Whittingham a lot more than Marcus Freeman when it comes to coaching, I think this is Utah all day and twice on Saturday.
I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying, that Lincoln Riley's overvalued and Caleb Williams has been put in a great spot for him to rack up stats and look great. But you're too far down that. You turned down the right street. You just drove 5 miles too far down it. Because Caleb Williams is clearly loaded with talent.
This is how you get into triple digits on death threats, on YouTube. This is how you get there. This is death. This is YouTube 101. Take a stand and then push. Keep pushing.
Well, Rat Hawk, are you with me and Mitch? Or are you going to lay the 7?
Just listen to me.
I'm laying the 7 here. I think this is the bounce back spot for USC. Don't get me wrong. This Utah defense is solid, and it's going to be the best one that USC will have been up against. But I want to go back to that point about Utah running the football. If there was one thing I could really take away for at least a somewhat positive from giving up 48 points to Notre Dame, is that they only gave up 4.3 yards per carry against a pretty good Notre Dame ground attack. So they held Notre Dame 251 yards. How they get to 48 points off of that is beyond me. But
interceptions.
Fair enough. But I'm saying I still think that, when you have quarterbacks like Bryson Barnes and Nate Johnson, it makes the offense for Utah a little bit more one-dimensional, and you can stack the box a little bit. And if you can hold Notre Dame 4.3 yards per carry, I think you can at least do something against Utah. I don't expect them to shut them down completely, but I think that USC does enough that if they jump out to a 14-point lead, I don't think that Utah's got enough to go score for score with them. So that's why I'm laying the points with USC here.
Our poll is completely split. So we're split 2-2. And our poll, 46% laying the 7 with USC, 44% taking the 7 with Utah. So there is no square side, public side. This is split right down the middle. Make your pick. I think anything less than 7 would probably be a pass for me. I'm not Mitch. Utah's going to go in there with the third-string quarterback and beat the shit out of him. I'm not that crazy. But, yeah, I'm at the full 7. I'm definitely on Utah for sure. Last game. Actually, I have 2 more games lined up on graphics, but just because I wanted to share, I took a big shot on a dog. So right after this, I'll show you. But Clemson at Miami. Oh, you know what? Let's bring Mitch up to talk first because he's going to tell you to take Miami +3, and it's wrong. So go ahead, Mitch. Share your Miami +3 pick, your homer pick.
It's not a homer pick. Last week, I was the one who wasn't on North Carolina in the Miami North Carolina game when the world was on Miami in that game. But this is the circle game for Miami. Clemson's been pushing them around plenty, but this year Clemson doesn't have what it takes to beat Miami. They don't match up with them quite like North Carolina did because they don't have the ability to go over the top on them defensively. What they do is they run those swing passes, which plays right into Miami's hands with that speed defense, and look for Miami to light up those Clemson running backs. In fact, I think there's going to be a defensive score in this game by the Canes, if not 2 defensive scores by the Canes in this game. I think Miami wins this one pretty easily in a punishing game.
Radhawk, is he right?
You just slapped that coward tag on me. I don't want to go anywhere near this.
Oh my God! He requests the coward tag
because I honestly this game terrifies. I could see it going either way. I could see the number coming into effect here as well. I could see this being like a 24-23 kind of game. So I'm staying far away from this thing.
All right, Jay, you're not requesting the coward tag, are you?
I'm not. You know where I'm at. Y'all know where I'm at. I ain't switching tune. Just because they done looked okay in certain spots don't mean I'm switching tune. Dabo, fraud. Klubnik, fraud. Let's go to you. I'm taking Miami. I understand, man, that loss to Georgia Tech is the worst loss in college football. And then Mitch did say they were going to lose to North Carolina pretty dominantly last week. But I haven't lost faith in this team collectively. The body of work over the full course of the season, I have liked. I've enjoyed watching Miami this season. And this is the spot, like Mitch said, Clemson on the road, not at home in where they go crazy. They're out on the road. It just sets up for a spot where this ends Clemson's season at 4-3. I'm taking the U here. Keep it rolling.
I'm on Clemson, but I don't like it enough to argue with these guys about it. I kind of wish I was less than 3. I'm hoping that enough comes in on Miami.
What do you like about
that? But I don't think that's the case.
What do you like? What do you like?
I love the matchup between. I like the Clemson defensive front 7 against Miami's offensive line. Van Dyke is not 100%. In fact, I don't even think
stacked NFL offensive line at Miami.
So is Clemson's defensive front, and that's exactly my point, Mitch. Is Miami's used that to their advantage? They can't use that to their advantage in this matchup. And Tyler Van Dyke's not even 100%. It's still not even confirmed that he's playing.
4 deep at running back, 6'6", 6'7" wide receivers. I really like Miami in this one.
What if Van Dyke
more
doesn't
than
play?
Just a homer pick. Well,
if Van Dyke doesn't play, you're screwed.
Quarterback too. Nope. Miami's like 4 or 5 deep at running back.
You would still take Miami +3 with the backup quarterback in?
Yeah,
but
Miami outright.
To just step on the field against Clemson.
Miami, regardless of who plays quarterback. Oh,
I'm not saying because
crazy.
I'm not saying because the backup wouldn't be good enough. I'm just saying you wouldn't be ready just stepping onto the field and beating Clemson. That's crazy. But I don't really wow, our poll split even. 47% Clemson, 47% Miami. And then I have graphics for this one. But the reason I did it was because I like Arizona State. I actually bet the Arizona State money line at plus 1,900. Obviously, it's a very high risk. Dude, this is the ultimate flat spot for Washington. Coming off that crazy game against Oregon, come back home for a cupcake game against Arizona State, who's coming off a bye. This is the Sun Devils Super Bowl we're looking at here. And look, there's not many points I can make for Arizona State being a better team than Washington. It's just a perfect spot. Everything Arizona State has in the tank is going to be emptied on the field in this game tonight, 10:30. Like I said, I took the Arizona State money line, $100 to win 1,900. I also like Arizona State plus the points. We don't have to. I don't know if any you guys have anything to say about this one, but if you want to chime in, Mitch.
I like it. I love a good dog. I wasn't really thinking along those lines, but yeah, why not?
Coming off that Oregon game, tell me it's not perfect.
Oh no, it's a great letdown spot for Washington, but you still have Penix going for the Heisman, and I don't think he's Heisman material, and I think he's more Penske material. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Arizona State with you. I could have probably gone either way here, but you talked me into it. Didn't take much. It doesn't take much to get.
It never does. It never does.
No, we're pretty swayable.
Should I take the coward down for this one?
Put a couple bucks.
Yes, please. I'm going to take the over here because I do think that we're gonna get some points in this one. I think last year's meeting was like 45-38 or something like that. That wouldn't surprise me here. Something along those lines, maybe a 42-35 or some of that. We've already seen Arizona State hang with the likes of USC this season. Took Colorado down to the wire, so maybe they're just a giant slayer and they come to play the big teams tough. So I lean towards Arizona State in the points, but yeah, I'll take the over as my stronger play here.
Jay, are you down to tail me on fading Penix?
I don't think it's a bad place to be. I really don't. I'm not in love with this game. I would say pass, but this is what I would do, me personally. If I were to take a huge shot at some plus money, the plus money I would go with, I would just go put it on. I'll put a few dollars on Caleb Williams Heisman. That's what I would do. I think it's a great
or Houston money line against Texas.
Maybe.
Houston money line. No, this is a better dog shot than Houston, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
I'm going to parlay him personally, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, but
that's how quickly it happened.
The reason I said
that's
that
how
is
fast it
I
happens.
think even if Washington struggles a bit here against Washington State, we're going to see the odds coming into next week be drastically different than they are currently. We saw USC look really bad last week. Penix's value is at an all-time high. It's a good buy low spot if that's your thing. On Heisman odds, I might take a look at. I think last time I saw it was like 3,500 on Caleb Williams. It's crazy.
Well, because he's not going to win it, Jay, because he plays for a paper team.
I know, but a few crazy games, a few crazy plays. The public, the narrative can change in 2 weeks.
Well, if Caleb Williams lights up Utah, that plus 3,500 will be long gone, or whatever it's at, it'll be long gone. But yeah, well, perfect timing. That's 2 weeks in a row we nailed the timing. We finished up right as the games were kicking off. Everyone, thanks for watching as always. We'll be back same time next week. Hopefully, we all have a good day today. Remember to bet responsibly. These guys are all from Pickdawgz, so pickdawgz.com. You can find all their stuff. I'm assuming all three of you guys drop premium stuff for Saturday, right? I don't know. So yeah, my stuff's on KyleKirms.com. So if you want to check out any of that, head on over. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Buy them all. Buy everything.
Yeah, buy all four. I'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m.
For a sec.
These guys are 10 a.m. tomorrow morning on their channel. I'm 11 a.m. here. So see you guys tomorrow. Let's have a good one. Later up.